whatever you want to.
All right, thank you. It has been nearly 20 years since Exida was founded. That makes me think of what happened then. It's kind of amazing in many ways that we did get started. I'll start out by saying I worked for OEM, a automation manufacturer, and we were developing a safety PLC product. And we called in this company I'd never heard of, TUV, to certify the product. And I found a guy from TUV, and we made arrangements, and we did our first audit, and Rainer Fowler and a couple of his engineers came over to talk to us. How'd that audit go?
Well, the audit went, we were impressed by the system, but it was not really up to the safety standards in the complete sense. So it was very focused on certain aspects and other aspects were lacking.
We failed. Rainer said, okay, very good job. He said almost the same thing during that audit as I would guess. And I said, okay, exactly how did we fail? My interpretation is that they said, we cannot help you. You have to go read the standard.
Well, that was true, and this was because TUV was really focusing on certification, and certification is limiting to not give access, but to have an independent assessment on a product. And this is something that made me all my time with TUV when I was manager there very unhappy, because we saw many situations like your situation, where I think a little guidance could have helped a lot to improve the product. And in the end, we should have a good product and not only a certificate.
Yeah. Well, we had them back a second time after 3, 4, 5 months later, and we went through it again, and I heard, oh, very good, you're doing well, you're better, but you still failed. And I went back and reported that to my boss and the company management, and they said, this is not acceptable, you're over budget, you're behind schedule. And he says, I think you better get on a plane and go over to Germany and find out what's going on. So I did. Mr. Fowler gave me an appointment, and I explained things from my point of view to Rainer Fowler in the office in Munich. What did you think about that?
Well, this was, in certain sense, it was an eye-opening, because I understood better your approach, because the German and the American approach, or the probabilistic versus the qualitative approach that we Germans used so far at that time, were very different. And I really agreed already at that time that we as Germans need to open up and incorporate the new ideas. And I think that led to a very successful continuation of the project.
Sometime after that meeting, you called me back, and I said to you, you really need to change. You need to help customers understand why they fail.
But this was, you were one of the triggers. It was very clear for me for many years, or for at least 2 years before this, that my desire and also the desire of my best engineers were to help people, and not only being the root assessor or the independent assessor. And this is the reason why I already at TUV time tried to start what I called at that time a knowledge network of safety experts, in order to allow us to, by this network, to help companies like yours in a much better way. And you then came up, and I saw the big opportunity then to implement this. At that time, the idea was really for me to implement it in the TUV frame, and to bring you over, or to attract you over to the TUV frame, and to establish a new entity inside TUV which would not be limited by the certification limitations of being independent and not adding helpful comments and helpful advice.
Well, as I recall, I was waiting to find out if the TUV people would help us a little bit and tell us more about why we didn't pass. And I get a phone call, and Rainer Fowler says, our management does not allow us to do that. Therefore, why don't you quit your job and I'll quit my job, and we'll start a new company to do it right. But I kind of liked my job. So I said, can I think about it a little while? And he said, sure. And we had some conversations and went back and forth, and I thought, this could be a lot of fun. And it really does need to be done properly.
Yes, and I think both of our interest was to help the engineers to make products better. And I think there was an ambition for you and me to have safer products. And my understanding was always that if we get the right thoughts into the engineers, then they will make a good product, and it's not a subject of the assessor to make a good product, but of the engineer, and to help them with the right questions and with the right initial thoughts how to solve problems. And this is, I think, one of the major drivers of exida today, to help them with the right directions and to help them with initial solutions, not limiting their work, but to give thoughts for their design process.
I remember a meeting where you and I met at a safety conference or something over in Germany, and we talked about the structure and the logo colors, and all the important things about the company.
The name of the company.
Oh, that was your name.
This was really
yeah, we had trouble with the name, but you came up with a great name.
Well, we started off first with dependable automation, but that it turned out to be not a good abbreviation.
No.
But then we came up with excellence in dependable automation, and I think we can be very proud of the name dependable, because it includes not only functional safety, but it includes the aspect of security. It includes the aspect of high availability, which is a key aspect today with safety systems, and includes the safety in use of a system. So this is a very nice term, I think, that we did choose at that time.
Excellent, yes. I recall that was toward the end of 1999, but we really didn't get all the legal authority and so forth until the beginning of 2000, but then we launched.
Yes, and I think also our companies didn't let us go. This was,
yes.
at least was for me an issue at that time. Well, we tried it in the later part then to really to show all the offerings that we do. Is there anything that we should say about our databases, for example? Because I think this is also a huge achievement.
I'll record some stuff.
Yeah.
And you can too. Are you still rolling, Rick?
We're still rolling.
All right. Exida really does things differently. After my experience at the automation manufacturer, I realized this standard is complex. People need, at minimum, training. Then they really need to understand exactly what they did wrong when they fail. Now, the conflict of that is the impartiality requirements of the certification process. And of course, we can't violate that. But there's nothing wrong with explaining the standard in as much detail as necessary, and making certain people know what they have done wrong. And then we've written a lot of generic solutions to many generic problems, which can help them get their own ideas about how to do better. And we think that formula has really helped a lot of our certification customers, and that we are very different compared to all of our competition. One of the things we wanted to do was to create a failure rate database, because this whole probabilistic analysis methodology, as required or at least suggested strongly by IEC 61508, needs data. And when we started, there was basically some military telecom data, but very little automation industrial data. So we started gathering up failure rates, and we got help from many different companies and many expert engineers. Over the last 20 years, we've accumulated and tested and updated, and I think we're finally getting to the point where we have a really clean and complete database of electronic and mechanical components, which allows us to do FMEDA failure rate predictions. There's a lot more to do, And there's a lot more variables we haven't yet recognized, I'm sure of that. But I am pleased how far we've gone, better than any of our competitors. I have enjoyed that work very much.
Well, and to add to this, there is so much challenge for the engineers of our customers to understand the process and not to be overwhelmed by the process and to drift off into bureaucracy. And what we also tried to do, and I think we were very successful, is to have the whole requirements tracking process implemented in tools, and not only an empty tool, but again, like you said, a database of solutions, of generic solutions that could be tailored to particular projects and use cases where an engineer would understand better what the requirement means, what it is in terms of implementation, how this could be implemented, such that he can think about the right way for his own product. And the same case with the use cases is to me a key for training, that we do not training per the letter of some documents, whether it's textbooks or it's the standard, but we do the training by use cases, because only by use cases people really understand the implication of all what is written there.
That's so true. I learn when someone shows me an example.
Yes. And this is also where we developed then lots of templates that of course give a head start for people, but also give examples. So we split the templates into examples and into a guideline, such that people get the right message and the right starting point for their improvements.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have, I feel like we've accomplished a lot in the last 20 years, and I'm very pleased about that.
And I think that we have really addressed industries that weren't addressed before, like for example the sensors. All the sensors were left aside till our company started. The same comes up with the automotive industry, where we had a lot of disputes and discussions with the automotive industry in Germany. And then, thankfully, to a former colleague of mine in the industry, he took the idea in BMW and implemented a complete system, and that then spread out into the industry and led today to the ISO 26262, which is really a success and changed the whole automotive industry in terms of safety.
And I'm very glad we got involved in cybersecurity as well. I attended the first ISA certification committee meeting in 2001, 2002, and it took a long time, but we did get that business launched as well.
And today we have additional challenges, and I think this is the beauty of our company and of our business. Now with the artificial intelligence and all the machine learning coming on board, we need to get answers, or at least ways to allow this for functional safety, and not to have this stubborn approach and say what we don't understand we cannot judge, and therefore we have no safety product. I think we need to be flexible enough to come up with an approach to make this judgeable. And this is the beauty of our company and of our doing, and the cooperation with our customers, because the customers are really challenging us, and we get a lot of return, and we give a lot of return, I hope, to our customers.
I've had fun for the last 20 years. Maybe we can keep going for 20 years and 20 years again.
I hope so very much, particularly with you. And this was really, I like it very much, probably, that we succeeded as an American-German cooperation, because this is not natural to have it over cultural barriers. And I think we done very well in this respect.
International from day one.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.